Hi guys, welcome to another video by me, Nikki Jackson. Thank you so much for all the love on my last video of sketching out this painting for my first assignment for my illustration degree. And if you haven't seen that, go check out the previous video from last week. And so we sketched this out. Hopefully you can see, maybe not, it's quite bright today, here we go. So I've sketched it out and I am now about to experiment with some markers on wood because I want to do the roses here in some kind of pen, either alcohol markers or water-based ones. Now I'm pretty aware that the water-based ones would not take well to being varnished, so it might mean that I don't varnish this. I'm probably going to end up keeping it, but I could make prints of this. I did do some experiments with the alcohol markers on wood a while ago, and they seem to come out pretty well. So there's kind of bled a tiny bit, but they look pretty good. So I'm not sure whether to like do the roses on paper and cut them out and then glue them on. But the trouble, if I do that, then the matte medium will probably make it run, whether it's water or alcohol based. So I'm not really sure whether I'm just going to do it straight in pen or not. And I kind of want to leave like a little gap around each of the roses to show the wood through. I think that looked really pretty. So I think it's going to be a bit challenging with the background because obviously I want to paint that. That's going to be either a very light blue or a very light grey. Probably light grey because that'll go really, oh, and the blue will look really nice as well. Decisions. I love grey and I love light blue as well. So I'm not sure what one to go for yet. So I might do a few experiments. I have done this a while ago, these alcohol marker tests, so they've been sort of able to set before putting anything on top of them. But I might just have a play around and see what happens when you add water or matte medium to it and just see. And I might do some scraps of paper and mess around with those as well first. So this is going to be kind of an experimental video. I may end up having to split this into another video to finish this piece off. I want to try and get as much of it done as possible this week. So yeah, so let's get experimenting. Okay guys, so we have our little bit of wood here to experiment on. I might do some alcohol markers on this again and see how they perform when they're a bit wet, because like I said, these have been done a while ago, so they've had a chance to sort of dry properly and set. So I'm going to pick a couple of colours from here and test those out, see how they perform with water and also matte medium, and I'll probably do the same on paper as well. These are very pale colours. These are B32 Pale Blue and RV11, which is pink. So I've got a water brush somewhere in here, so dig that out and just see what happens if we add a bit of water over the top. Ooh, a bit too much. That's alright. It'd be interesting to see on wood. On paper I imagine it would go quite weird, but so let's just leave that and see what happens. I'm going to get my pencil and just write underneath which ones are which. So these are the Copics Dry, and I'm not going to be able to write on that now. Copics plus water. So we'll leave that to dry for a minute and see what happens. Now I've also got these gorgeous Zig Clean Colour Real Brush pens. Got a lovely selection in vintagey colours and bright colours. So I'm going to have a go at these are water based, so I'll have a go at putting these on the wood and seeing how they perform, and I might do 2 tests again like I did the Copics. So let's do them dry on here and see how they work. So again, I'm going to do pink and a blue. So let's put the zig dry, and then we'll do them wet down here, because I want to put some matte medium over both of them as well and see what happens. Let's get my water brush. These are water based like I said, so let's just see what happens. Interestingly, they're not moving that much. Let me just grab paper. There's a bit more water there now. So then I also want to add, so let's put zig wet, and then let's do some down here for the matte medium. I want to write that on here first before I put it on. Zig matte medium, and I'm also going to do these with matte medium as well. Right, so let's get the matte medium out. I think it's over here on my bookshelf. So, right guys, so we have got these little experiments. So hopefully you can see which ones are which. So far they're all performing pretty well. So let's go and put the matte medium over both the Copics and the zigs and see what happens. So I'm going to find an old brush to put on top. Now I'm fully expecting these to bleed everywhere, but let's see what happens. So let's put it over the Copics first of all. And I'm being pretty generous with the amount that I'm putting on. Put quite a thick layer. And I'll do the same on top of the zigs. Now the brush isn't picking up any colour at all. I guess it's soaking into the wood, so that's interesting. So I think now I'm going to actually do the experiment on the paper as well and just see what happens with that, because I might, like I said, do them on paper and glue them on and seeing if that works, and also it'd be really helpful for future projects. So so I'm going to put this one aside and get some Bristol board and see how that works. Okay, so I'm actually going to do it on watercolour paper and Bristol board. I've got some Winsor & Newton Bockingford watercolour paper, and this is a 300 GSM weight paper. I'm not sure which press it is. It's quite rough, so these are my old experiments. So let's do that first, so we don't get all cluttered up here on the desk. So as you see, it's got quite a nice texture to it. So let's go ahead and put both the colours on here again. So here's the zig. So I think I'm going to do 2 lots because I want some with water and some with matte medium on. So let's just write on there, zig, wet, zig, matte medium. And the same for the Copics. Colours are a lot more vibrant on this paper, a lot more muted on the wood. So let's put, now because I'm left-handed I'm going to have to tilt this so I can write on it. So Copics, wet, Copics, matte medium. Okay, so let's get the water brush again. And let's put a bit of that on there. That's blending nice. Remember to wipe your water brush in between colours because it picks up the colour on there, especially from the zigs. You don't want it to blend, or you might want it to blend, but just keep that in mind when you're using it for different colours. It's got pink all over it now, and let's do that on there. Obviously these are alcohol based, so hence I'm just wanted to see how they react to water on them, on the paper. Right, so that's those with the water on. Now we're going to do the matte medium. Interestingly, the matte medium seems to be taking really well on these. There's none coming off onto the brush at all. I'm putting it on thicker than I probably would on the actual painting, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't bleed everywhere. So that's the watercolour paper. Hopefully you can see that really well. So this is what they look like at a different angle. Make sure you can see them properly. So let's do it on Bristol board now as well and see what happens. So I'm going to put that to the side and get my pad of Bristol board, find a scrap of that, and we can experiment with this as well. Okay, so I've got a scrap piece of Bristol board that I have been using for experimenting in different ways. So I'm going to use that for this so I don't waste any of the Bristol board, because as you know, Bristol board is pretty pricey, so we don't want to waste a whole sheet. So let's get started. So we want to do the same again, get our blue and pink zigs. So let's do it down the bottom here because I don't want it dripping on my other experiments that I've been doing. So let's do, we need 2 of each again. Gorgeous bright colours, and it's interesting how the colours come out on the different paper. I think they're still quite vibrant on the watercolour paper. So let's just write zig, wet plus wet, and zig, matte, medium. So these are probably going to run, so I'll try not to add too much water. Wipe my brush and do it again on here. Again. And matte medium on top of there. Be interesting how this reacts, because I'm thinking it might react differently than the others, but we shall see. It looks like it is smudging it on this paper, for the pink especially. So let's try the Copics and see how they perform. So Copics plus wet, Copics, matte medium. Okay, so let's get the water brush and put it over there. They're definitely reacting differently on this paper to the watercolour paper, which is very interesting. It looks like the actual Bristol board is bubbling up with the Copics, so that's good to know. So let's put some matte medium on and see what happens. So they don't seem to be smudging like the zigs on this paper, so that's interesting. And one other thing that I did want to try was putting glitter glue on top of both the different types of markers to see if that bled out as well, especially on the Bristol board, because I want to use that on there for different illustrations. And I have got a glitter pen as well, which I will be using. It's the Zigs, I think it's the Zig one. Oh no, it's not. Hang on. It is the Sakura Jelly Roll in Clear Star Burst or Stardust. This is what it looks like. And it's gorgeous. It really brings something else to the colours. So I can show you on this flower actually what it comes out like. Let me just, I'll lay it down and then I'll show it to the camera so you can see it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Just gives it that extra special something. You know me, I always have to have glitter in my work, so hopefully you can see that. See in the light. I put it on the petals and a bit on the leaves. Hopefully you can see it. It's really, really pretty. Anyway, I need to test out whether my glitter glue is going to work for future reference. So let's get that out and see what happens. Okay, so I've got my glitter glue. This one is a Dovecraft Essentials one. And I'm going to lay down some colours again and see what happens. So let's do some over here. And do two colours again, just to see what they look like on different ones. And I'll do the same on the zigs, just for interest. And I'm not going to leave them very long to dry on purpose, just to see what happens. So it's just right above here, Copics and zigs plus glitter glue. If you do any experiments of your own using different kinds of art materials, feel free to let me know in the comments. I would love to check them out. So let's go ahead and add some glitter glue to these colours. Now they might not react straight away and I might need to wait until the glitter glue is dry to see the full effect. So I might have to update you on that one. Let's see, it doesn't seem to be coming out very well. Might just need a good shake. Here we go. Alright, I'm going to put a generous amount on each. It's so pretty. Oh wow, that looks gorgeous on top of those colours. They really pop. Much more than the pen actually. The pen is more of a subtle glitter and that's a bit more in your face glitter, which I like a bit of both. So see if you can see that. At the moment it's raised, but as it dries it'll sink down and dry almost flat. So I might have to update you on that later and see how that turns out. So let's have a review of the different experiments and see how they turned out. Okay, so let's have a look at the wood, which we did first. So we had the Copics that had been on there for a while and were very dry, so they're there. We've got the Copics and Water, Copics Matte Medium, the Zigs Clean Colour brush, real brush, pens as they are dry and as they are wet, and also with some Matte Medium. So the Copics dry worked really well on the wood. They haven't really bled hardly at all. I'm not sure how they would work for fine detail, but they certainly have worked for what I want them for. Again, the Zigs have worked that way as well. Dry, they're perfectly fine. They work really well on the wood. The Copics with water was interesting. They took the water really, really well. I think the wood kind of reacted a tiny bit, but not very much. So that's good to know. Putting them on the wood kind of dulls the colour a little bit, but not too much. The Copic with Matte Medium, that seems to have worked really well. It might be a tiny bit fuzzy, but it seems okay. See if you can see those. So that's the one with the Matte Medium on it. Then we have got the Zigs with water on. Now these are a water-based pen, and they've definitely reacted. They've smudged, which you would expect because they're blendable with water, but they've also reacted with the wood and left kind of a raised kind of look to it. Whether you can see that on there, I'm not sure, but it's kind of, there's lots of lines come up on it, so that hasn't worked very well. Now the Zig with the Matte Medium here at the bottom, that's worked pretty well. It has changed the colours, it's muted them, made them a little bit yellow. In fact, the pink actually has been affected the most. The colour has changed a lot. But they haven't bled and they've taken the Matte Medium really well. So that's really good to know. So then we went on to the watercolour paper and we did a few experiments on there. Hopefully you can see that. So they are still drying, but the Zigs took well to the watercolour paper because, like I said, they're water-based and they like being blended, so that was good. With the Matte Medium, they have bled a tiny bit. They've slightly changed colour again. It must be the Matte Medium reacting to that kind of pen because it's changed the colour on both the wood and the paper. But they kind of pretty much held their the shape of the ink. So that's good. The Copics wet, they've performed really well. They haven't bled at all. So if they got wet, then they would survive on an illustration, hopefully. I wouldn't want to bank on putting too much water on there though, so just keep that in mind. And the Copics with the Matte Medium, and again, they have performed really good. They are slightly duller than without it, but they have maintained their true colour pretty much, so that's really, really good to know. So again, this is the Winsor and Newton Bockingford watercolour paper, if you need to remember that one. So the experiments on Bristol board were really interesting. So we did the Zigs with water down here, and I've blended as you would expect. And yeah, they seem to be okay on this paper. They haven't bled through, so that's a success. With the Matte Medium, again, it has changed the colour of the pink, but the blue has maintained its colour. It smudged it slightly, more so on the pink, interestingly. So I'm guessing certain colours react differently. So you might want to test those out before you use them on a proper illustration. And for the Copics, again, they were fine with the water, but the actual paper didn't like it. So they've kind of bubbled up on the paper, and it's kind of gone through to the other side a bit as well. So they haven't reacted as good. But the Copics for the matte medium, again, they've worked really well, and they've maintained their colour, and yeah, that's worked brilliantly. So what a great experiment. Oh, and the glitter glue. Now, it's starting to dry, and it interestingly looks like that pink is an issue. It seems that any time it gets wet, it changes. So for the zigs, the glitter glue on the pink, it's kind of started to change colour and bleed a bit. But on the blue up here, it seems to have stayed pretty much the same. And on the Copics, it stayed as well. So I'll let you know, like I said, later on when it's dry, whether it changed. It might be in a different video that I remember to update you, because it takes a little while to dry. But yeah, I'll keep you updated with that. So those were really interesting experiments. So this video has probably been long enough. I am going to start filming for painting the illustration and decide whether to put the roses on paper and glue them, or do them straight on the wood. I need to decide. So I'll leave that for next time. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and don't forget to check out part 3 when I'm actually putting colour down for the painting. So see you again next time, guys. Bye!